In the days before the Great Rebellion, there were those among the Watchers who remained steadfast in their divine charge. These were Uriel, Raphael, Raguel, Michael, Sarakiel, Gabriel, and Ramiel, a cherub of great wisdom. They, like the others, had been appointed by the Almighty to watch over the earth and its inhabitants. They descended frequently, moving among men, ensuring that the will of the Most High was fulfilled. These 7 were faithful and true, never wavering from their mission. At that time, all the Watchers walked as brothers, both those who would remain faithful and those who would later fall. Azazel, Samiaza, and many others had not yet strayed, and they too moved among men, watching and learning. But among the Watchers, not all remained loyal to their purpose. A group, led by Samiaza and Azazel, began to desire what was forbidden. They watched the daughters of men and longed for them. They desired power beyond what was given to them. And so, a great rebellion began to stir in their hearts. The faithful Watchers could sense the change in their brethren. There were whispers in the heavens and on earth. Samiaza, a leader among the Watchers, had begun to speak of desires unfit for their kind. He and his followers marveled at the beauty of human women, and in their hearts, they longed to take them as their own. Azazel, filled with ambition, spoke of sharing with men the hidden knowledge of heaven, of crafting weapons, and teaching arts forbidden to humankind. One fateful night, Samiaza called a secret meeting on Mount Hermon, a towering peak that overlooked the lands of men. They gathered others to themselves, 200 in all, those whose hearts burned with longing and pride. They met on Mount Hermon, hidden from the eyes of men, and there they swore an oath to defy their purpose. They bound themselves to one another, agreeing to descend and take for themselves the daughters of men, to teach them the forbidden knowledge, and to build for themselves a dominion upon the earth. Samiaza gathered his followers, those who had grown restless in their divine duty. Among them were many powerful angels, leaders, warriors, and scribes, who had once walked in the light but now stood on the edge of darkness. Standing before them, Samiaza spoke with passion. "We have been watching the children of men for so long," he said. "We have seen their beauty, their lives, and their struggles. Why should we remain distant when we could walk among them? Why should we not take for ourselves wives, bear mighty sons, and teach them the secrets of heaven?" His words stirred the hearts of those who had already entertained such thoughts. Then Azazel, the most cunning among them, stepped forward. "And why should we not rule over them?" he added. "We possess knowledge beyond their understanding. We could teach them the secrets of metal, of war, and of sorcery. We could shape them in our own image, and become as gods among them." A murmur of agreement swept through the gathering. One by one, they swore an oath, a terrible vow that bound them together in their rebellion. They knew the punishment for their crime would be severe, but they no longer feared the wrath of heaven. Their choice was made. The faithful Watchers stood apart, grieving for their brethren. Gabriel, who was set over paradise and the serpents, urged them to reconsider, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Sarakiel, whose charge was over the spirits who sin, foresaw the coming judgment, but none among the fallen would heed his warnings. Raguel, whose task was vengeance upon the world of the luminaries, remained silent, knowing that in time, justice would come. Raphael, who guarded the spirits of men, warned, "If we break the boundaries set by the Most High, we will bring chaos to the world below. The knowledge of heaven is not for them to wield." Michael, the great warrior, added, "The rebellion you whisper of will bring only ruin. The Lord of hosts sees all. Do not let your desires lead you to destruction." Uriel, who knew the deep mysteries of the world, added, "God sees all. If we join them, we too will be cast into judgment. I will not take part in this rebellion." Raguel, the avenger, was sent to bring justice upon the fallen luminaries. He struck down those who had misled the world, ensuring that their wicked deeds would not go unanswered. Sarakiel stood over the spirits who had sinned, ensuring that they were sealed away, unable to corrupt the world further. Gabriel, who watched over paradise and the serpent, cleansed the earth of the terrible influence of the fallen. And Ramiel, the cherubim, was set over those who would rise again, the righteous ones who would find salvation despite the sins of their ancestors. The others agreed. They knew that their brothers had chosen a path of destruction, but they would remain faithful. They would continue their duty, watching and guiding as they were commanded. When the fallen ones descended upon the earth, taking wives and teaching men forbidden knowledge, the 7 holy angels watched in sorrow. They saw how the world changed. The Nephilim, the giant offspring of the fallen angels, began to dominate the earth with their strength and cruelty. Men learned the ways of war, of vanity, and of sin. The world darkened, and wickedness grew. So, the holy angels remained in their duty while the others descended to take wives and make themselves rulers among men. The earth grew corrupt under the rule of the fallen, and war, vanity, and sin spread like wildfire. Azazel taught men to forge weapons, to adorn themselves with metals and stones, to paint their faces, and to seek power through sorcery. Samiaza and his followers bore children, the Nephilim, mighty and terrible, who ravaged the land and devoured all in their path. The cries of the earth rose to heaven, and at last the Almighty called upon the faithful watchers. Uriel, who watched over the world and Tartarus, was sent to Noah, warning him of the flood to come. Raphael was commanded to bind Azazel and cast him into the desert, covering him with darkness until the final judgment. Raguel was sent to bring destruction upon the wicked luminaries. Michael was ordered to lead the heavenly host against the rebellious watchers, and Sarakiel was tasked with binding their spirits for all eternity. You shall bind them in the depths of the earth, the Almighty decreed, until the day of judgment when they shall be cast into the lake of fire. Raphael was sent to bind Azazel, for he had led mankind into bloodshed and corruption. Azazel fought, but he was no match for the Holy One. Raphael cast him into the desert, binding him in darkness until the final judgment. Michael, the great warrior, led the charge against Samiaza and his followers. He and the host of heaven descended upon the rebellious angels, striking them down and casting them into the abyss. The fallen ones were bound, and the floodwaters came, cleansing the earth of their corruption. Mankind, though wounded by sin, was given another chance. And the 7 holy angels continued their watch, faithful to their purpose. Gabriel was set against the Nephilim, bringing ruin to their great cities, and Ramiel was charged with overseeing those who would rise again in the end of days. The battle was swift and terrible. The faithful stood against the fallen, and the decree of the Almighty was fulfilled. The rebellious watchers were bound, their dominion shattered, and the earth was cleansed by the flood. Yet, even in judgment, the faithful watchers did not rejoice. They mourned the loss of their brethren, knowing that they had once stood together in purity. They had watched over the earth as one, but now the fallen were cast away, never to return. Still, the faithful remained at their posts, ever vigilant, watching, waiting, and ensuring that the will of the Almighty was done. To this day, they remain. Uriel, the guardian of Tartarus. Raphael, the healer of men. Raguel, the bringer of justice. Michael, the protector of the righteous. Sarakiel, the warden of fallen spirits. Gabriel, the keeper of paradise. And Ramiel, the overseer of resurrection. While their brothers fell into darkness, they stood firm in the light. They did not waver. They did not fall. They remained the faithful watchers, ever vigilant, ever true. And so, the heavens watched over the earth, waiting for the day when all things would be made right again. Thank you for your support.